4 years. That is what we are going to be seeing, sustaining growth in the steel industry. There's a lot of the Almighty and the blessings of each and every one who's present here. Ladies and gentlemen, as mentioned earlier, is going to be experiencing. So how do we move forward? What is going to be the way forward? For that, I would, at the outset of this conference, would like to invite our chief guest. And now I would request him to share his views with you.
Good morning, everyone. Expos like this are very, very beneficial for the entire industry. You know, we have, if you look outside, you have everybody here, which is quite amazing. You know, you have all the competitors' stalls next to each other. We have one message to give, that we are one industry, and we are here for a common cause. Steel is a very good material for construction, and concrete also is an excellent material for construction, but they both have their places. You know, we should not be pushing steel where it does not belong. That is wrong to do. And likewise, we should not be pushing concrete or alternate materials where they don't belong. So with that thought, I would like to leave and pass on the mic to the next speaker, and then we can get on with the day. And once again, thank you for Mbss to give us this wonderful opportunity in bringing everybody.
Yeah. And with so much opportunity open for the industry.
Private Limited, also the chief guest of our conference, Mr. Anshul Singhal, Director JSW Severfield Structures Limited. We have Mr. Norman D'Souza, Director Marketing, New Chem. Mr. Ravi Singh, Head Processing and Distribution Asia and Africa, SR. And Mr. Anand Mahale, Senior Manager, Deloitte Touch Tehematsu India Private Limited, who are our knowledge partners. So I now hand over to the moderator of the session, Mr. Anand Mahale, for the further proceedings of this panel discussion.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, to this last session of panel discussion. Thank you very much, first of all, gentlemen, for joining in this panel discussion. To begin with, I think we would like to quickly understand what is the current status of penetration of steel buildings, having understood through last 2 days that it's less than 1%, but if you can quickly provide a snapshot in terms of past history and how it has evolved so far, that would be very helpful. Yes, sir.
Historically, in buildings we haven't used much structural steel, but traditionally steel hasn't been used, and you're right, the penetration of steel in building industries is very limited. There is nothing much to speak of in terms of volume, but things are changing very rapidly, and that is mainly because the pace has also increased, the construction pace has increased, and today we want to get much more done in a shorter time, and that is seen if we go through the history of construction in the last 50 years, how things used to move very slowly in the past, and now they are moving very rapidly. So I'm very optimistic about the growth of steel in the near future.
Sure. Ravi, you are one of the leading suppliers for steel here in India. From the perspective of the supply side, do you feel that was that one of the constraints in past that has led to RCC being the most dominant material in building construction vis-a-vis steel? Has that sort of impacted the penetration of steel in past?
Yeah, absolutely, Anand. I agree with you because RCC was discovered around 1905, and steel was beginning to get used in buildings even before that. In India, unfortunately, although we had this rich tradition of the British period, after independence, we found that steel was no longer being used for construction, and the reason was scarcity. Steel was not available. The only plate mill in the country was a Bhilai steel plant plate mill, which was where the allocation was more for defense, railways and the others, and definitely not for something like construction of a building. There has been a change after 1992. So you now find, for example, Jindal went in for large structures, JSPL went in for a large structures, structural mill up to 900 millimeter. SR Steel went into a 5-meter wide plate mill with all the quench and temper and all the special steels which are available anywhere in the world. It's a modern mill. They've entered into that, which means if you need extra strong buildings, because when you go into high rises, you need extra large beams. So that's an area which is now getting plugged. And the way we see it from the steel community, I think unless the development in this country increases exponentially, we will see a steel excess for some time.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching the Metal Buildings and Steel Structures Expo 2011, but it is time now for a short break. We slip into this break. Request you to kindly join back after this break. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back into this panel discussion. This panel discussion, we have been joined by panelists who are of great repute.
Coming to we've understood what has happened in past. Now coming to the present, JSW Severfield is one of the, first movers in this industry for fabrication perspective, and you have said in past, you are focused on high-rise building segment. What has been your experience so far, and what have been the challenges for you to penetrate in the market, and what are your perhaps recent wins that you have seen in terms of the signature projects which are coming around?
No, I think what you've just covered here is quite a large portion of what I would have said. Now, back to the mindset being the biggest challenge when we entered into steel. India primarily 55, 60 years ago, before independence, the first focus of the country was to stand up on its feet. At that time, the requirements were not there for mega projects like Mr. Kamal Hatkar just pointed out. Now we have seen a sudden rise in the GDP over the past 8-9 years. People have realized that the way construction is being done, it's very slow. They've also realized that steel is the right answer. But the country is still young in its way of constructing because of the limitations of the past. And those limitations have been the major challenges. Now what JSW Severfield has done is it took all these considerations into mind, and it took the first step saying that, we will bring in the design, we have the steel backup, we'll put in the fabrication shop, and we will try to change the mindset. So it was obviously a very tough job that we undertook, but it's working.
I would just request each of you to sort of summarize in terms of what is your view going forward in terms of penetration and the challenges for the benefit of audience, please.
We are going to be driven by the circumstances where people will start demanding, and wherever we have done structural steel buildings for specific projects, some people thought that the buildings were very expensive and only those people could afford it. This is not for us. That mindset will change. Now all these questions are answered in steel construction. Yeah. So when we say a steel building, people are going to be delighted because they are assured of the quality right from top to bottom. They are assured of the safety because Norman is going to cover them with the fireproof coating, or we are going to encase it in concrete. So the market will in fact be chasing us, is what I feel. That's my take on the future.
Thank you very much, Mr. Norman, you would like to summarize?
Yeah, the amount of flexibility and the versatility that steel has, it has already started gaining momentum. People have begun to realize. So any additions, alterations which need to be carried out can be very easily carried out. With all the added benefits, it provides you safety, quality, speed. What more do you need?
I think the answer is very simple. Penetration is bound to be there.
Right.
It's just a matter of time that people realize how easy it is to use. Till now my dad sees the apple and he's like, it's very confusing, Then when he starts using it, he realizes it's very simple to use. That's what steel is. The minute it's the next generation. Steel is the big boys coming up in the future.
Thank you all. Thanks for sharing your perspective. It was quite insightful, and I think looking like over the next 5 to 10 years we will have progressed into a different era where it will be driven to some extent by fast high-rise, fast-speed construction, which will be driven by steel buildings. So thank you very much.
So, ladies and gentlemen, with this we come to the end of this 2-day deliberations and discussion.